My name is Patricia Tisa, and I am 30 years old. I met Ethan 6 years ago in a college literature class, which was strange because neither of us belonged there for the same reason. I was an engineering student filling a humanities requirement on a full scholarship. Ethan was studying art history because his family considered it more cultured than anything practical. I came from a working-class home. My father repaired cars, and my mother taught middle school. We did not have inherited property or trust funds, but we had stability, honesty, and the belief that nobody was too important to clean up their own mess. Ethan came from old money. His family owned an estate outside the city, vacationed in Europe, and spoke about social circles as though they were borders between countries. None of that mattered when we were alone. Ethan was funny, thoughtful, and curious about everything. We ate from food trucks, went hiking, and spent evenings talking about the future. He made me believe my background was not something I needed to apologize for. His family corrected that illusion quickly. The first holiday dinner at their estate felt like an audition I had already failed. His mother, Mrs. Whitmore, watched me cut my food and asked, "Do you truly repair your own car?" "My father taught me," I said. "How resourceful. We simply call someone." His father questioned my engineering prospects as though deciding whether I deserved another invitation. Then Danielle arrived. She was a family friend Ethan had known since childhood. Same private schools, same country clubs, same summer homes. His mother seated her beside him. I told myself it meant nothing. Ethan said the same. "My family has been trying to pair us since high school," he whispered later. "They don't control me." I believed him. After graduation, Ethan and I moved into a small city apartment. He began a master's program, and I worked at a mid-sized engineering firm. When money became tight, I accepted side projects. I worked late, covered more rent, and once paid for a weekend away after Ethan nearly collapsed under the pressure of final exams. He cried in the hotel room and called me his rock. I thought that meant I was part of his future. The pressure from his family never stopped. Danielle appeared at dinners, birthdays, and holiday trips. Mrs. Whitmore once pulled me aside near the garden terrace. "Ethan needs someone who understands our world," she said. "It isn't personal." "It feels personal." She smiled without warmth. "That will pass." Ethan defended me at first. Over time, his defense weakened. He began making comparisons. "Danielle is launching a company with her family's backing. My parents find conversation easier with her. Everything would be less complicated if everyone got along." I felt as though I were competing with a woman whose greatest qualification was already belonging. Still, I stayed. I rejected a promotion that required travel because Ethan said he needed me nearby. I skipped my cousin's wedding for one of his family's charity galas. I spent holidays absorbing insults while Ethan quietly asked me not to create tension. After 4 years together, I proposed with a simple ring I had saved months to buy. Ethan said yes. His family barely reacted. 6 months later, I came home to find him sitting on the couch with 2 suitcases beside him. "Patricia, we need to talk." His face was calm, almost relieved. "My family will never accept you," he said. "I can't keep fighting them." "We're engaged." "I know." "We built a life together." He glanced around the apartment. "This life is fine, but it isn't what I grew up with." The words landed slowly. "Is this about Danielle?" He sighed. "She understands the pressure. My family loves her. She fits. And I don't. You'll always be an outsider to them." I stared at the man I had supported, defended, and planned to marry. "Have you been seeing her?" "We've been talking. Don't make it dramatic." He stood and lifted one of the boxes. "I can't choose you over my entire family." He said it as though I had forced the decision. I wanted to ask why he accepted my ring, Why he allowed me to sacrifice years for a future he never intended to protect. Instead, I stepped aside. If that's what you want, go. Ethan frowned. You're not even going to fight for me? I already did. For 4 years. At every dinner, through every insult, in every sacrifice he had mistaken for weakness. I helped him carry the final box to the hallway. Before leaving, he looked at me and said, "You'll find someone more suited to your level." Then he walked away. The engagement ring remained on the table. I stood alone in the apartment, listening to his footsteps disappear. He had chosen the family that treated me as inferior. By morning, I would begin choosing myself. The morning after Ethan left, I woke on the couch with the engagement ring still sitting on the table. For several seconds, I forgot what had happened. Then I saw the empty space near the door where his shoes used to be, and every word returned. Outsider. Complicated. Someone on your level. I picked up the ring and placed it back inside its box. I did not throw it away. I was not ready for that yet. Instead, I blocked Ethan's number. Then I unfollowed him, removed his family from my social media, and deleted the shared calendar that still contained appointments for a wedding that would never happen. There was no dramatic confrontation, no final plea, only small, deliberate actions that separated my life from his. The lease was in both our names, so I called the landlord and explained that the engagement had ended. I offered to cover the termination fee if Ethan refused to cooperate. To my surprise, he signed the paperwork immediately. That hurt more than I expected. He had spent years claiming our apartment represented independence from his family. Now he abandoned it without hesitation because Danielle and the estate were waiting. I found a smaller apartment across town. It had uneven floors, old kitchen cabinets, and a view of another building's brick wall. But it was mine. On my first night there, I sat on the floor eating takeout from the carton because I had not bought a table yet. The silence felt enormous. At work, I accepted the promotion I had previously rejected. My supervisor looked surprised. I thought travel was a problem. It isn't anymore. The job required long hours and frequent trips, but work became the place where effort still produced something honest. Structures either held or they failed. Numbers did not whisper that you were not good enough while accepting everything you provided. The nights were harder. I kept remembering moments I had once interpreted as love. Our second Christmas together, I drove through a snowstorm to reach Ethan's family estate because he insisted my absence would create tension. When I arrived, soaked and exhausted, Danielle was already seated beside him. They laughed over childhood stories while I sat at the far end of the table. Ethan barely spoke to me until we returned home. When I said I felt invisible, he replied, "That's just how they are. You need thicker skin." I had sacrificed Christmas with my own parents to be tolerated by his. For weeks after the breakup, I woke with the same question. Why was I not enough? Then, one morning, standing in a hotel room before a project meeting, I caught my reflection and realized how deeply their judgment had entered me. I had begun measuring my worth using standards designed to exclude me. My education was not enough because it was earned through scholarships. My career was not enough because it lacked family connections. My loyalty was not enough because loyalty could not change my surname. The problem had never been my value. The problem was that Ethan wanted the comfort of loving me privately and the approval of rejecting me publicly. Once I understood that, the grief changed. I began going to the gym again. I joined a weekend hiking group and met people who asked what trails I liked instead of where my family vacationed. I called my parents more often. My father never said he had warned me. He only asked whether I needed help assembling furniture. My mother brought food and quietly placed fresh sheets on my bed. Their love did not require an invitation card, a dress code, or permission from a family committee. Months passed. I traveled for work, took on larger projects, and eventually received another promotion. A year after Ethan left, I purchased a small house in the suburbs. It had a modest yard, a narrow porch, and a garage where I could change my own oil if I wanted. The day I received the keys, my father stood in the driveway and smiled. "You built this yourself." Those words meant more than every polite compliment Ethan's family had ever offered. Around that time, I heard Ethan had married Danielle. The wedding took place at the estate, exactly as his parents wanted. Hundreds of guests, imported flowers, photographs, and magazines. A mutual friend showed me one picture. Ethan looked elegant. Danielle looked perfect. Mrs. Whitmore stood beside them, glowing with victory. For one moment, the old pain returned. Then I looked around my house, at the walls I had chosen, the career I had reclaimed, the life no longer shaped by someone else's approval. I closed the photograph. "Good for them," I said. And for the first time, I meant it. I did not know then that the marriage everyone had fought to create was already beginning to rot from the inside. The first sign that Ethan's perfect marriage was failing came from someone I barely knew. About 18 months after our breakup, I attended an industry networking event downtown. I was standing near the bar discussing a transportation project when an old college friend named Jordan recognized me. We had not spoken in years. After some small talk, he lowered his voice. "Have you heard about Ethan and Danielle?" "No." The truth was, I had stopped asking. Jordan hesitated, then gave me the look people use when they are about to deliver gossip disguised as concern. "The marriage is a disaster." I said nothing, so he continued. "Once Danielle had officially become part of the family, the polished image began cracking. The company she supposedly planned to build never developed beyond expensive lunches, mood boards, and vague conversations about investors. She stopped pretending to work. Instead, she spent her days shopping, attending wellness retreats, and expecting Ethan's parents to finance whatever new idea captured her attention. At first, the Whitmores tolerated it. They had spent years insisting Danielle understood their world. Admitting she was irresponsible would mean admitting they had been wrong about me. But entitlement grows expensive. Danielle demanded a larger house, international vacations, and money for business ventures that disappeared before producing anything. Ethan became the person responsible for managing her moods and defending her behavior. The irony was almost surgical. He had once accused me of not fitting into his family's lifestyle. Now he was trapped inside it, mediating arguments about credit limits, property, and how much support Danielle deserved. "She fights with his parents constantly," Jordan said. "They blame Ethan for not controlling her." I almost laughed. The family that claimed I was too ordinary now expected their son to manage the chaos they had chosen for him. "Is he working?" I asked. "Barely. His career stalled after the wedding. He keeps handling family problems instead." Jordan showed me a photograph from a recent event. Ethan looked thinner. His smile seemed forced, and Danielle stood beside him staring at her phone. I felt no satisfaction, only confirmation. He had chosen easy. Instead, he had chosen a different kind of conflict, one wrapped in expensive clothing and family approval. The first message arrived a few weeks later from an unknown number. "Hi, Patricia. It's Ethan. I've been thinking about our college days. I hope you're doing well." I read it and placed my phone face down. There was no apology, no mention of the engagement, only nostalgia, offered like bait. A week later, another message came. "I miss our hikes. Life has been complicated. Would you be open to coffee?" I ignored that too. Then came the voicemail. His voice sounded strained. "Patricia, please call me. I know I made a mistake. My family pressured me, and Danielle is not who I thought she was. I need someone who understands me. There it was. Not, I hurt you. Not, you deserved better. He needed someone. Once again, my value appeared only when his life required stability. I deleted the voicemail. Mutual friends soon became messengers. Jordan wrote that Ethan was sincerely sorry. Another friend, Melissa, called and said, "He's falling apart. Danielle treats him terribly. You were always the stable one." The stable one. The rock. The woman expected to clean up what other people broke. "This is not my responsibility," I said. "He made a terrible choice." Yes. Doesn't 4 years mean anything? It meant enough for me to learn not to return. Melissa sighed as though I were being unreasonable. He needs compassion. He has a wife. I ended the call. A month later, Ethan appeared in the lobby of my office. I was leaving for lunch when I saw him near the reception desk. His eyes were red, his suit wrinkled, and the confidence he once carried inside his family's estate had vanished. "Patricia, please, 5 minutes." I kept several feet between us. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to see you." "No, you wanted to avoid being ignored again." He flinched. "Danielle is destroying everything. She won't work. She spends constantly. My parents hate her now, and every dinner becomes a fight." "You chose her." "My family pushed me." "You agreed." I was confused. "You were relieved." His face tightened because he remembered exactly how calm he had looked while packing. "You were good to me," he said. "I see that now. We could try again. I'll cut them off if I have to." The promise should have moved me. Instead, it sounded desperate and transactional. "You could not choose me when choosing me cost you their approval," I said. "Now that their choice has become uncomfortable, you want me back. That is not fair." Neither was calling me an outsider after 4 years of sacrifice. His sadness turned into anger. "You are being cruel." "No, I am refusing to become your escape route." I stepped around him. Behind me, he called my name. I kept walking. He had once chosen peace without me. Now I was choosing peace without him. Ethan's visit to my office did not remain private for long. By that evening, I had 3 missed calls from unknown numbers and 1 voicemail from Mrs. Whitmore. Her voice was polished, careful, almost warm. "Patricia dear, it has been far too long. Ethan told us you two spoke. I think perhaps we all made mistakes." Mistakes. That was the word people used when they wanted forgiveness without accountability. I deleted the voicemail. The following morning, she called again. This time, I answered. "Patricia," she said, relief entering her voice. "Thank goodness." "What do you want?" There was a pause. She was not accustomed to being addressed without ceremony. "We want to make amends. Danielle has become difficult. She has no respect for family traditions, and she is creating terrible tension between Ethan and his father." I nearly laughed. "You are calling me because you are disappointed in the woman you chose for him. That is an unfair way to describe it. You spent years telling me Ethan needed someone from your world. You got exactly what you wanted." Mrs. Whitmore sighed. "We underestimated you." "No, you understood me perfectly. You simply believed I was beneath you." Her tone softened. "You were always so steady, so responsible. Ethan needs someone like that." There it was again. Not love, usefulness. "You do not miss me," I said. "You miss what I did for him." "That is not true." "Then tell me one thing you valued about me that had nothing to do with keeping Ethan stable." Silence. I ended the call. After that, the messages became more frequent. Ethan's father emailed an apology that sounded like a legal statement. Danielle sent me one angry message accusing me of interfering in her marriage, despite the fact that I had never contacted Ethan. Then Ethan began calling again. I blocked every number. Several weeks later, I hosted a housewarming party. The house was not grand. There were no marble floors or imported chandeliers, but the kitchen smelled of food my mother had cooked. My father was arguing happily with one of my coworkers about engines, and friends from my hiking group filled the porch with laughter. It was the first gathering I had hosted where nobody measured anyone's worth by their last name. Halfway through the evening, my phone rang. Mrs. Whitmore. I stepped outside because I did not want her voice inside my home. "Patricia, please listen," she began. "Danielle has drained Ethan's accounts. She refuses to work. She fights with us constantly. He is miserable. I am sorry he is unhappy. We all miss you." "No, you miss the person who absorbed every problem quietly." Her voice cracked. "We should never have interfered." For 1 second, I heard something almost human beneath the pride. But regret did not erase what they had done. "You told me I did not belong," I said. Ethan repeated it. "Then he chose someone else because she made your life easier." "We were wrong." "Yes." "Then let us fix it." I looked through the window at my father laughing beside my coworkers, at my mother placing another tray of food on the table, at people who had never asked me to shrink so they could feel superior. There is nothing to fix. Patricia, I'm sorry you dislike the son-in-law you helped choose, but that has nothing to do with me. I ended the call and blocked the number. When I returned inside, my friend Jordan handed me a glass. "Everything okay?" "Yes." And for once, it was true. Months later, I heard Ethan and Danielle were separating. I did not ask why. I did not search for details. Their marriage, their money, and their family wars belonged to them. My life continued. I received another promotion. I planted a small garden beside the porch. I traveled with friends and began dating someone who asked about my childhood because he cared, not because he wanted to determine whether I fit his social circle. Sometimes I still remembered the apartment Ethan left behind, the ring on the table, the word outsider. But those memories no longer made me question my worth. I had spent years trying to prove I deserved entry into a family that saw acceptance as a prize. Now I understood that belonging should never require humiliation. Ethan chose approval over love. His family chose appearance over character. And when their perfect choice became a nightmare, they wanted the outsider back to repair the damage. I refused, not because I was bitter, because I had finally built a life where nobody needed me to apologize for where I came from. Ethan once told me I would always be an outsider. He was right. I was outside their manipulation, outside their judgment, and outside the life that would have slowly erased me. And I had never been more grateful to be excluded.